A few months ago, I made a video about Phantasy Star Online 2, a fantastic MMO that had just gotten an English release on Windows at the time. I said that the game was great and gave it a very high recommendation, and spoiler alert, I still do. But that video was destined to become outdated, as is the nature of covering something like an MMO. Even now, it's hard to state just how awful the Windows version was, and to an extent still is, and how it nearly killed what should have been a slam dunk release. It was a dumpster fire of bugged up launchers, broken installs, and invisible files, and I know firsthand that all these technical problems deterred people from playing the game. Heck, that broken install thing? I had to reinstall the game 7 times before I eventually just dropped it for a time, so it even alienated people who liked the game. Just an absolute mess all around, but that was back in May. It's August now, a lot has happened between then and now. So let's go back to Phantasy Star Online 2 and take another look. To start, I completely neglected to mention the Xbox One version of Phantasy Star Online, which predated the Windows version by a few months. The reason? I didn't own an Xbox One at the time. But I do now, and for the sake of covering all bases, I did install Phantasy Star and gave it a try on Xbox. The conclusion? It's fine. Obviously you get a little less control on how the game runs performance-wise, but it also doesn't have a 50-50 chance to completely uninstall every time you turn off your Xbox, so that instantly gives it an edge over the Windows version. I already use a controller for this game, so the lack of a keyboard didn't really hurt me, but I do believe mouse and keyboard is still an option if you have a USB keyboard and mouse lying around. Really, the only big issue with Phantasy Star on Xbox is that Xbox Live Gold is required to play. That makes this version a bit harder to sell, but at least you get some perks if you have Game Pass Ultimate. Really, I just see the Xbox version as a nice little bonus for if you already have Game Pass Ultimate or Xbox Live, rather than a selling point for those services in and of itself. If you have an Xbox and can play online, you can't really go wrong playing it on Xbox. Just make sure you have the hard drive space, because the transition to console didn't do anything for the game's size. With that said, this Xbox will come in handy once New Genesis hits, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But let's get into why we're really here. Alongside the Episode 4 update to the game, Phantasy Star Online 2 also came to Steam. Delicious, a launcher that actually functions. Don't toss away your Windows launcher in the recycling bin just yet though, because you need 2 versions of the game installed at the same time to link your accounts. Why they couldn't just log you in with your gamertag, I don't know. But if you've played the Windows version long enough that you don't want to start fresh, you're probably already familiar with having 150 gigabytes of Phantasy Star on your computer. Once it's linked up though, you can toss that thing in the recycling bin and never look back. The Episode 4 update brings some new expeditions and events, of which I didn't get any footage of because recording from Windows is still a bit of a crapshoot, and they might be spoilers for the story, but take my word for it that they're pretty wacky and really fun. Speaking of the story, I really glazed over it in the last video, and I'm gonna do it again, because I still don't have the willpower to sit down and watch 7 hours worth of cutscenes. What I can say though is that I played a bit of Episode 4 for the bingo card, and it gets nuts. If you had to start fresh for any reason and want to get right to the new story, you'll be glad to know that you can start right from Episode 4, so go crazy and have fun. As for the game itself, well, I've gone from spending about 12 hours to it to about 90, and a lot has changed for me personally. That mag that I barely mentioned in the first video, it's now at the max level of 200, and now I can summon my enemy stand. Also, imagine playing for 80 hours and not knowing about class actions? Can't be me. Anyways, I have a transformation device that can turn it into a red Puyo, thanks for that Andrew, but I haven't decided if I want to use that yet. I also didn't mention auxiliaries last time, which can be sent out on procurement missions and have their own independent leveling system. Akira here is cute and she's become a fine Forcer, and I'm very proud of how far she's come, but you need to please stop failing on level 21 Volt Dragons, that would be fantastic. Speaking of classes, I've since pivoted away from the Bow of the Braver and fully adopted the way of the Gun. Gunner has since become my main class, and I'm really vibing with it. The range of bows are nice, but the speed and mobility an assault rifle gives is the stuff that I live for, and turning into Bayonetta with these twin machine guns is just super cool. I have dabbled with Force, but I need some more time before I focus on leveling that, so until then I'm just gonna keep blasting. As for the Plaza, the June Bride event has long since ended, but it's now been replaced with water slides. Yay! The casinos remained unchanged, all my homies still hate Arkuma Slots, and I'm still the only one who has a good time at Black Nyack. What can I say, Flade is a good gambler, that's character lore. Speaking of the Plaza, I'm really surprised that I made it through the last video without mentioning the concerts. Periodically throughout the day, the shopping plaza will host a concert that gives you a tri-boost, but more importantly lets you listen to some good tunes. In this house we stan Cuna, but the Miku and Luca concert of Living Universe was really cool too. While recording for this video, the Persona collab was ongoing, which means 2 concerts featuring Mass Destruction and Rivers in the Desert. It even has a rhythm game attached to it, which means I can miss a full combo by one note here as well.
I'm gonna do it, guys. I'm gonna full combo this concert. Dude, I love Drakengard.
Anyways, going to both the concerts gives you the Morgana costume, which is goofy as hell, and I love it. Speaking of costumes, Flade has come a long way from wearing the default clothing she had at the beginning. During the Miku crossover, I went and bought the Rin outfit, because it was cute and it was the only thing I could wear that wasn't over a million meseta. It's still the go-to outfit for concerts. Speaking of crossovers, I also bought the Arl outfit because it was also really cheap because people don't know what Puyo is and they're cowards. Flade's main outfit consists of this blue jacket and these cool pants. Kinda wish the ammo belt didn't clip through her stomach, but it's a small price to pay for looking this cool. And I also even have this little summer attire that I whipped up in the time that I spent editing this. And it looks pretty cute as well, and I can't wait to pop off on Halloween. My room has also seen quite the improvement. The mini ones that you get for free are cool, but it's almost comical how little you can do. So I spent real money, thanks Sega, and now I have a bigger room where I can put more stuff. I've got a shelf to display all the cool finds from the expeditions, an outdoor garden, and a jukebox that plays all the music that I've been accumulating. Spoiler alert, it's all Sega stuff. And Living Universe. Love me some Living Universe. And once again, despite spending 90 hours on this game, there's still so much that I haven't even touched. I only just started an alliance, there is a new PvP mode, they added crafting with episode 4, there are bonus and extreme quests that I haven't had a chance to run yet, and the urgent quests are always constantly changing and constantly throwing new things your way. And of course, the community is still great. Okay, you learn very quickly to turn off your symbol art, since the filter is really bad at blocking those, but other than that, it's all great. Even outside of battle, just messing around in the Ark ship is still some of my favorite moments from playing Phantasy Star Online. I'll never forget when some friends and I started the dance line behind someone who was going for the burst in Rappy slots, and 4 other people eventually joined in. This went on for 2 hours, and we chatted and waited for the fated moment that he would eventually win big. I eventually had to tap out at 2 AM, around the time another person entered the slots, and took the role of an anime villain, and as far as I know they're still both at it, but god was it a memorable night. This should be the part where I say something negative about the current PSO2 experience, but honestly I don't really have much. Okay, there's some pretty annoying lag spikes that happen sometimes, but I'm willing to chalk that up to my computer, and that just being how MMOs are sometimes. Also, while the Steam launcher is very much an improvement over the Windows version, it isn't perfect. Every time there's an update, the game scans all 70 gigs of the files before installing the update, which can still take upwards to an hour depending on your internet. It's still an improvement over having to completely reinstall the game on a whim, but it's not exactly great if you want to just hop in and have fun after an update. But yeah, that's about it. Phantasy Star Online 2 is still really fun, and I'm glad I can say that without a massive asterisk this time. If you want a fun MMO, I highly recommend playing Phantasy Star Online 2. I know that install size is intimidating, and yeah, it's a big game. But if you give it a chance, I promise that you won't be disappointed. But anyways, making this video has taken time away from me playing Phantasy Star Online 2, so I'm gonna go get back to that. So until next time, see ya!